Hello everyone, welcome back to the Head of the Charles and welcome back to All American Rowing, sponsored by Wintec and King Racing. I'm Fergus Mainland, and to reflect on some of the Day 2 action here in Cambridge, I'm joined by the wonderful Tom Morgan as always, and Olympic champion Grace Prendergast. Grace, how has been your Head of the Charles experience so far?
It's been amazing. I think actually, surprisingly for how long I've rowed, I've not had the pleasure of coming and spectating or racing, and it's definitely exceeded expectations. I think I've now got the Head of the Charles bug. I will hopefully be back again next year, but incredible regatta, and I think was one for my bucket list. That was the only reason I got back in the boat for it, and has definitely exceeded those expectations.
On that note, Grace, you've been living in London for a while, and I've known you now for a little while, and I don't recall you ever having got back in a boat since you retired after your World Championships win. How has it been being back in a rowing boat?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a shock to the system. And to be fair, I said Head of the Charles is probably my only regatta that will get me back in the boat. It was one that I didn't ever get to race as when I was still actively rowing. I did a few ergs. I managed to get out on the water once or twice. I think it was actually quite comforting that when I got back in the boat, it did click, and it felt like I always remember it feeling like. Definitely different muscles hurt that I haven't used in a while. But yeah, I'll have to debrief with my crew, but I hope they think I performed all right.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the race, because you are, of course, racing in Alumni 8s earlier on today, which is a fiercely competitive category, isn't it? Talk to me a little bit about the crew and how all of that came together.
Yeah, it was actually an idea that was born straight after the boat race. So we were all at our Cambridge boat race dinner, and I was talking to Olivia Coffey, who's an alumni, and also Imogen Grant, and they sort of threw out the idea, and I was probably a little bit ambitious in the moment. I was like, yeah, I'd love to.
Was that maybe because of alcohol?
Yeah, maybe. And then before I knew it, the organisation was happening. And very fortunate that Liv has rowed through Harvard, so knows people here that can help us sort of put together the logistics, and then we kind of recruited a few more people from my boat race year, and then a couple of others from other years that we knew was sort of still actively in the sport and participating. So it's a bit of a mixture, but I think one that has merged together well, and it was nice when we got back in the boat. I was like, actually, it feels like we're a crew, despite having never rowed together before. Yeah,
certainly. And a fantastic outing for Crabtree. You had two boats racing, but you were starting 43rd. And I think it's fair to say you've probably had a quintessential Head of the Charles race experience, haven't you?
Yes, I think I didn't really know what we're in for. And starting 43rd, there's obviously a lot of crews in front of you. I think we were probably, I didn't know, obviously I'm not as active rowing, but my crew, a lot was still racing at World Champs, so we're probably a little bit further down the field than maybe we should have been. So we had a pretty fast start. We knew we couldn't pass before that first bridge, so we tried to leave a little bit of a space. Didn't leave enough, but we had a bit of a crash coming out of the bridge, so we were through the bridge, but it was a bit of a showstopper crash, so I had to stop, sort of back down, separate again. But I don't know, as someone that's not as actively rowing, I think the excitement of passing quite a few crews was probably a benefit for me. So yeah, we managed to pass a few, managed to come with a second, so I think overall happy with that.
How's your off-water connection with rowing going? Because obviously you're a steward now at Henley Royal Regatta. How is that going for you? Are there any other ambitions or plans you have in the sport?
Yeah, I think I'm really appreciative of how much I've been able to stay connected to the sport since leaving, and I think a lot of it was coming over and studying at Cambridge and sort of opening up a whole new rowing network. And it was my first year as a steward this past year, and then I've also been fortunate to do a lot of work with World Rowing in and around sort of their media at the World Cups and World Champs. So it feels really nice to still be quite involved, because it was such a big part of my life. I think being completely separated from it would have been quite tough. So I'm not sure what my sort of future ambitions in it at the moment is, but I think coming back to regatta, I actually know I still really enjoy being in a boat. I'm not going to get back into it seriously, but I think here and there I still love.
So the comeback's not on.
No, could not do that. And 1500's not my thing, so I will not come back for LA.
Beach sprints.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have the aggression or the sort of that sort of competitiveness.
That's an absolutely comprehensive no in Grace language.
Yeah, it's a no, but I'm more of an on-land person now. But I think I'm very fortunate of the opportunities I've been given and very appreciative of it, and feel really lucky that I get to keep experiencing new things in rowing like Head of the Charles while I've officially retired. So I think it's sort of all falling together, which is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've mentioned that you got second place overall in the women's Alumni. It's won by the Texas Longhorn legends with the likes of Rachel Ray and Kate Nifton on board. And on the men's side of things, well, it was Brown who took the win there ahead of, I think it was the Yale boat. And again, dripping with talent, Tom, with like Sholto and Dara Lynch. These lineups that they can bring together, they're ridiculous, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like Fantasy All-Star, some of the greatest rowers from the pantheon that we've seen in the last decade. So it's one of the unique privileges of being at the head of the Charles is the championship eights almost are the secondary category, despite the fact they've got the championship billing. That alumni component, it's sort of a smorgasbord of what you're going to get. And I think the 2 years I've been here, we've seen some incredible lineups post Olympics, people coming in. Grace Prendergast jumping into a boat, having not been in a boat for 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, you get these characters driving back into the sport just to sort of run down the Charles one last time, and it's an incredible category.
It certainly is. Well, speaking of alumni, earlier on today we spoke to some of the California Olden Bears who have been racing this morning. It's a big year for California men's rowing, 150 years, and their head coach Scott Franson has also been inducted into the California Hall of Fame as well. So we caught up with them after their race earlier on today. I'm delighted to say I'm joined by three of the Olden Bears, I should say, who have been out racing in the men's 50-plus Masters 8. Gentlemen, it is a pleasure to have you joining us in our studio here today in what is a very special year for California rowing. We'll come on to that in a couple of minutes' time, but I think the big question is, how was it out there on the river today?
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be here. No, we had a good race. We went fast. As a crew, we gathered in New Jersey earlier this week. And so we got some training and got some practice, and it really paid off. And I think the boat felt good.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Yeah, it was a beautiful day, great day to race.
Yeah.
We had good racing, bring a crew together that hasn't been in a boat with each other for very much in recent years. So it's good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Definitely. And have you got results and everything that have come through?
Yes, we were 15th. There, yeah.
So job done and in
middle of the pack, but yeah, it was.
We think so. I mean, it was fractions of a second.
Right.
So
I think we had 5 or 6 crews within a second of each other in our bunch. So it was all very close.
Yeah.
In that end. Yeah.
Uh-huh. And of course, loads of California boats, loads of Olden Bear boats that are here racing. What does that mean for all of you to be amongst such a big alumni community here at Head of the Charles?
Well, it's been fantastic. The Olden Bears started in 2022 with 1-8. And then we entered 2 8s, and then last year we had 7 entries. This year another 7 entries, 6 got in, and it's grown exponentially. I mean, just having the name Olden Bears has been fantastic because it's so obvious where we're from and who we are. Yeah. And the other thing that's really special that we've done with the club is we've incorporated women, so it's men and women, and that's something very unique for the program at Cal, because they're separate at Cal, and we're not separating it here. So it's been really nice to just grow the community, and in just 4 short years, we have well over 100 members of the club.
Yeah.
No, it's very magical. I was telling the guys earlier, I raced in '91 in the college category, and I remember our coach was sitting in the bay before racing, said, "Guys, look at those buildings. One day you're going to be in a building, at an office, on a computer. It's your last time racing the Head of the Charles." And little did I know that in 2022, it's almost 30 years later, I'd come back and race again. Actually, due to Ken. Ken called me up and said, "Let's go race a boat." And it's been great for getting back together, for mental health, physical health. It's amazing. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's a big year for Cal Rowing, 150 years of the program. To reach such a big milestone like that, what does it mean to you guys as alumni, but also, I suppose, to the wider program and to the students who are still involved with it at the moment?
I mean, it's just the history is just unbelievable. I mean, it's just been going on for so long. It's a very small number of programs that have been around that long, and two, maybe 3 others that have been that long. So it's just it's rare company, and it's humbling.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And why Cal for you guys? What made you make the trip to the West Coast of America to do your college studies?
Well, I'm from Seattle and rode for Green Lake Crew in the 80s and had a fantastic time, and had the got into a few rowing programs and visited Cal, and it was a no-brainer. It was Cal or Washington, and I grew up walking distance from the Conner Boathouse, and that's a fantastic program. But visiting Cal, there's just a no-brainer that I was going to get out of Seattle and go to Cal.
Yeah, I'm actually from Boston, so I'm a local boy, and I wanted to go away, go somewhere at a far distance for college. Actually, I was looking also Washington, Cal. Cal's better academically, I think, so I thought that was great, and also I love the school and the environment, and the rowing program, of course, is terrific.
Yeah.
I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Virginia originally, and I rowed in high school in Northern Virginia and D.C. area, and I didn't go to Cal as a freshman. I transferred in from freshman year at GW in D.C., and it was a fantastic move for me, and I wanted to get out of the East Coast and out of the politics of Washington, D.C. Now it's everywhere anyway. Yeah. So you can't escape it. But then when you communicated by newspapers and hardline telephones, you could escape that. So I just wanted to get away, and Cal was a fantastic option. I also looked at Washington and Cal for West Coast programs. I visited Washington in, I think, February, and went out on the water with them, and I was like, it's not here.
No, it's not going to be here.
This is
rain
pretty
and the
dreary.
cold and everything. No,
Yeah.
no, not for you.
And the Olden Bears haven't been around for a long time, but it's grown, as we said, really quickly. And last year we had both Ala Costa, the women's coach, and Scott Franzen, the men's coach, out here. Scott was racing with us, and we had an event last year where they both spoke, and with Alumni. We're having another event tonight. And we're working on growing to the program to the such that we will have a more formal relationship supporting the program with fundraising and really being an opportunity for alums coming out of that program to stay rowing, to stay involved, to stay connected to people, and come out and do events like this. So last year we had boats at the San Diego Crew Classic that won. We had entries in Henley Masters, and we plan to do a lot more of that.
Absolutely.
One of the things about also I was just thinking about Masters rowing, which is we're all 55, 56-ish, let's say. There's a lot of different versions of 56-year-olds. And I think, we see people we maybe graduated with that are not rowing, that are not athletic anymore. It's a different look and a different mentality. And I think with all the anxiety and stress in the world, doing something difficult, doing something physical, keeping your body in shape, training is so good for your mental health. And coming for a competition like this, it's a terrific event, one of the greatest in the world. And just bringing people together. You see people from different boats, different crews you raced against. I saw a guy that I work with in the boat behind us today. So it's just a great way to stay mentally and physically strong in their 50s. And the alternative path is very different. So I'm really excited about it.
And just the connection with all the people. These guys are great friends of mine. I don't get to see them very often. And, hanging out last night and what we're going to do tonight, it's super fun. And being able to come here, and, Wintech has a great service. So we hire boats from Wintech. They're fantastic boats. We just pick them up, put them in, and go row. It just makes it super easy. And, it's a great weekend.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Now, you mentioned Scott already. I mean, what an incredible coach he's been for the Cal men's program, and he's not here this weekend because he's been inducted into the is it the Cal Athletics Hall of Fame?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, what an incredible honor. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job for the program, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's the second individual rower to be inducted into the Cal Hall of Fame. I believe. I mean, I think they've had crews, like entire crews inducted, but I think he's the second individual rower. Yeah. I think I read that.
Yeah. And you must all be incredibly proud then, having graduated in the not too distant past, but to see him take the program to success year after year, it must make you very proud.
I mean, the program has had phenomenal success. I mean, there's been a number of Olympic champions. I mean, it's not just the famous book and movie that has that story. Cal has won those Olympic golds. And then, the years with, Teddy and Gladstone and so forth, the program has been just incredibly impressive. And, it's an honor to be connected to it. It's really something to be proud of.
And on the water, what were some of the highlights on the water as well?
I remember we swept Washington in 91 or 90. There was one.
The duel at Cal.
Duel. Yeah, that was a big day.
Yeah, that was. All three of us were in those boats. It was the last time the Cal Washington duel was raced at Cal on the Oakland Estuary. It's now raced at Redwood Shores. And we swept Washington, so the freshmen, the Jays, and the varsity. and rolling from different lanes too. I mean, it was like it was a fair victory. And at the time, the Washington coach Bob Ernst just made the point that they don't ever want to race us on the estuary again, and they never have.
Fantastic. What about you? Any particular memories that stand out?
I mean, the things that stick out to me the most are the racing, the highs of racing. We shared some pretty good victories against Washington, who was our primary rival.
Yeah.
The Pacific Coast Championships, which has a different name now. I can't remember what it is now, but we didn't have the level of success at the IRAs that later crews had. Just a few years later, they started really taking off. But that's what sticks out to me in terms of the rowing. But it's really more the relationships and friendships. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of these guys in years until last year when I came to do this the first time, and it's just the memories.
This is something that's interesting. So starting in 2022, when I was calling around guys to say, hey, let's row the head of the Charles, it was an incredible experience to just look online in a few sites to just find names and just say, hey, Dave Sides, Ted Hatch, Mark Nelson, you guys want to row the head of the Charles this fall? And I mean, these are guys who are friends of mine, but I haven't spoken to in 30 years, right? And the response is like, hell yeah. So, like, not even how you doing or where do you live, or it's just like, we're there. And that's been super fun.
Yeah, certainly. Well, thank you very much for joining us today. Congratulations on the row this morning, and we hope you are able to enjoy all of the other festivities that come with the Head of the Charles this weekend as well. And of course, congratulations to Cal for 150 years, and here's to the next 150 years as well. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
For having us.
Thank you. Thanks.
Wonderful to chat to the Olden Bears, and congratulations to them celebrating 150 years of Cal mentoring this year. And of course, congratulations to their head coach, Scott Franston, for being admitted to the California Hall of Fame as well. Now, though, I'm delighted to say I'm joined by world champion in the single sculls, Fiona Murtagh. Actually, first question, how does world champion sound a few weeks on after their racing in Shanghai?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. World champion sounds good. It's been a crazy year, so to finish that year off with that title is, beyond words.
And we'll come on to racing, all things Head of the Charles, in a couple of moments.
Yeah.
But talk me through that final in Shanghai, because what a race that turned into. How was it from your perspective?
Yeah, I knew, I felt really good during the week, and I was in a really good headspace. I was doing a lot of journaling, and my thoughts were really clear and they were really calm. And I was definitely ready for a fight because I knew it was going to be one. And I was thinking of different scenarios of how it was going to go, and what felt right for me was going off as hard as I could. The conditions were so hot, and when you are in a scenario like that, the last 500 meters, typically positions don't really change that much, so the work that you do early I think is quite important, and I'm that natural racer, so I wanted to go out hard and try and put as much of a gap as I could in between myself and the rest of the field, because I knew coming into that final stage it would be tricky. Now I caught a bit of a wobbler, about hit the red boys, caught a bit of a wobbler, thought I lost it, but no, clung on in the end, and it was just sheer will by the end of it. So I had no idea when I crossed the line because we were right beside each other.
Well, I don't think either of you did, looking at facial expressions or anything.
Hadn't a clue. So I looked at the screen, and my teammates were underneath the screen. They were just beside it, and I could see them going mental, Irish flags everywhere. And then my name popped up, so I had an idea, but shocked,
Amazing.
Yeah.
And, a great way to end the campaign in the single scull.
Yeah.
Is this a boat that you're hoping to stay in for the rest of the Olympiad towards LA?
Yeah, well, we'll see. I'll let Dominic Casey decide that one for me. He's been a mastermind behind the whole thing this year. I started into the single around this time last year off the back of a disappointing games. Wasn't really sure where I fitted into the system anymore. We're doing a lot of turnover with our coaches and stuff. A lot of the people at the centre were scullers. I was a natural sweeper. Didn't know what was going to be the outcome, but he was so supportive in that whole journey, really reassuring, just let me figure it out without any pressure. And I think a post-Olympic year is a good time to try new things. So it wasn't really until Europeans that I was like, oh, this is actually something that is going really well and has potential to go further. So yeah, it's just been a whole change for me in my confidence and how I approach training and balancing everything with I'm working now. So the balance of those two things has been a huge part of my journey this year. And I think this single has been helpful because I'm just on my own. I can go on my own schedule. I can train when I want to, do as much or as little as I need to fit everything into the day. And Dominic has been great. He's been like a solutions only guy, and he's like, we'll just make it work. Whatever less stress for you is the answer, and it has been. It's worked really well this year.
Fantastic. Well, from Shanghai to Boston here for Head of the Charles in Championship
Yeah.
single sculls. How was it out there on the famous Charles River?
It was so hard. So fair play to all those girls. Fair play to anyone doing it in the single. It is so difficult. The steering is so tricky. I had an idea in my head of how I wanted to go, and there was a scenario where I went under a bridge. There was one of the girls to my left, and I was like, okay, if she's on my left, I must be center. And then green boys come right underneath me, and I was like, I'm nowhere where I thought I was. So very tricky to steer, but really nice, like so supportive. There was so many people shouting my name under every bridge. It was such a lovely day. You couldn't ask for better water. So very cool experience. Very difficult. So nice to tick it off, the list.
How were the legs post Shanghai?
Yeah, heavy. Yeah, took some time off.
Yeah.
I was in Shanghai for an extra week. Did a lot of exploring. I don't know about anyone else, but I find city breaks exhausting. You need a holiday after the holiday.
Is it? Because you're just wandering around.
You were walking like 30,000 steps a day.
Yeah,
It's from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and then it's to a rooftop bar for cocktails. So it was much needed. It was great. Really enjoyed it. But yeah, so I have been taking a handy sense.
And after a great run down the Head of the Charles course today, what does the rest of the regatta and the weekend look like for you?
Yeah, just chilling, to be honest. Tomorrow now, just experiencing the whole thing. I love coming here. Like, it's been 10 years since I've been here, and just soaking it all up. It's going to be gorgeous weather. There's a lot of racing happening tomorrow. The lads are racing the quad. So yeah, just being a spectator and taking it all up.
Yeah, finally. And a word, I suppose, just for the wider Irish team as well, because Phil and Finton were here racing. They won their men's championship doubles race.
Yeah, which is great, yeah.
And a great performance for the whole team out in Shanghai. It seems like Irish rowing's in a really strong position at the moment.
Yeah, it was great. Conan was here as well in the men's single and the champ single. He did amazing. And yeah, it's been such an exciting kind of year for Rowing Ireland. We got 4 medals at the World Championship, a lot of A finals, some really top 10 finishes across the board. So we're in a really competitive place, which is exciting for this phase of the new cycle. There's a lot of momentum and amazing athletes in the centre. So, yeah, it's exciting.
Great stuff. Well, congratulations on your World Championship win once again.
Thank you.
And we'll leave you now to go out and enjoy all of the offerings that Boston has to offer on a Saturday night.
Perfect. Can't wait.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful to speak to a world champion from Ireland, Fiona Murtagh, in the women's single scull. Great to hear about all of her experiences in Shanghai, but also here at the Head of the Charles as well. Now though, Tom, Sunday tomorrow, it's the big day. We've got the youth events coming into the mix. We've got the Championship H. There's so much to look forward to, isn't there? Let's start first of all with some of the youth events, because we've got some wonderful British crews who are in action tomorrow, don't we?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, actually, because I think the strengthening of the transatlantic rivalry between UK and US crews is an interesting narrative within junior rowing. St Paul's going off in men's youth 8's bow number 1, won it last year, then went on not to win Henley Regatta, which I think was a surprise to many from the outside. Will be looking to continue their hot streak at the Head of the Charles. Then you've got Headington on the women's side in the women's youth 8s, who are going to be competing with the likes of Row America Rye, who obviously won the youth nationals by some 13 seconds last summer. So an incredibly stacked field. And then we can see here, courtesy of our friends at Wintec and King, the Windsor boys, having won this event last year, back again for another tilt at the title in 2025. And it's great to see as well these UK crews building up a rhythm of coming over to Boston, making it a habit, and it's almost feeding the narrative now that it's a quadruple, not a triple, in schoolboy and schoolgirl rowing.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you've mentioned some of those US crews. We've got St Joe's Prep as well, going particularly well on the youth men's side of things as well. So many of these programs, Rye, Marin, Saugatuck, all coming into the mix. The youth side of things is said to be absolutely amazing. but there's also the Championship 8 side of things. You know, the fastest boats we're going to see all weekend, and we had the pleasure of being at the IRA National Championship, so we saw how quick some of these boats can go. We've got all of them coming, but we've got the best of British as well coming over with Leander, Oxford and Cambridge all in the mix as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, again, a stacked field. I fancy some of these US rowing crews to show just exactly how strong that program has become under Yossi. It's a US team on the rise. I think Leander won't be as powerful as they were last year. They obviously brought essentially an Olympic standard crew. This year it's more of a club crew. They're no mugs. They're going to be fast. And then, yeah, we get to see the renewal of the Oxford-Cambridge rivalry, early marker on where those crews are. Obviously, last year we saw Cambridge blow the field away to win the Open Championship 8. Not sure if they'll be able to repeat that feat in 2025, but the crucial thing for them will be getting bragging rights over Oxford heading into, the crux of the boat race season.
Yeah, certainly. And I think particularly on home water, we saw Harvard performing so well at the IRA National Championships on the medal podium, not quite able to get the gold at IRAs, but I think certainly on home water, Harvard's have to be one of the favourites, don't they?
For sure. They've got an unbelievable programme again. But you can never count out the Huskies under Michael Callahan, winners of the IRA National Championship in 2025. They just know what it takes to win. And yeah, Harvard were the fastest US collegiate crew in that champ event last year. They'll be gunning for that title. I actually think the field is more stacked than it was last year, so I'm super excited to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, certainly. And on the women's side of things, we've got Yale, the national champions, coming back, returning 4 of their varsity 8, mixed in as well, as you said, with US national team boats as well. Oh, it's going to be good. It's going to be really, really good.
I've remarked on it a couple of times, actually, Ferg, at this weekend, how rare it is to have all these crews from across the country meet in one place to race. And I didn't really understand it when I first started following US rowing, particularly domestically, and now obviously the geography of the country, the scale of it, it means it's very hard actually for crews to commit and make the trip from the west coast to the east coast and vice versa. But to see them all coming to Boston, trying to get early season bragging rights, this is the place to be for rowing this weekend.
It certainly is. Tomorrow is set to be an absolutely superb day of racing. From the youth events to the championship events, the mixed events, so much to look forward to tomorrow. This has been day 2 at the famous Head of the Charles Regatta. Thanks once again to our proud sponsors, Wintec and King Racing. We can't wait to do it all again tomorrow.